Let me start with the lethality and the readiness issue. Churchill pointed out that wars don't always come when you're ready, and he had some background in this, as you'll remember, how the Royal Air Force had to buy time for Britain to hold on until they could amass the strength and get the alliance with the United States and everything else to turn the tide in that very desperate battle, early battles of World War II. I want to repeat here that we have no God-given right to victory on the battlefield. And in that regard, make no mistake that our adversaries are right now making concentrated efforts to erode our competitive edge. You know it, I know it, we can see it in the world around us. And I would say, too, that by contesting our supremacy in every domain, we can see it working against us in aggregate. And I want to get into more about this because some nations that are challenging our dominance in the air are doing so through a proliferation of advanced integrated air defense networks plus fifth-generation aircraft. And I think, too, if you look at outer space, which was long considered a sanctuary of sorts, it's now contested. And then you add another domain, the cyberspace domain, at the same time. And that's now contested at the in an operating realm, at the tactical, the operational, and the strategic levels of conflict. And that means that we took several thousand years of war on land and sea, and it took us about 100 years to get another domain, air, brought to the position we're in today. And then in the last 10 years, we've seen basically 2 new domains mature into warfighting realms on us. Never in history has this happened in our past. So our air, naval, ground, and logistics bases today are also under threat of precision, all-weather, day-night guided munition bombardment, which will complicate our operations and make passive and active base defense absolutely critical in the future. So if we fail to adapt, ladies and gentlemen, at the speed of relevance, then our forces, military forces, our Air Force, will lose the very technical and tactical advantages we've enjoyed since World War II. The joint effort of rebuilding our readiness and lethality is based on the following problem statement for the U.S. military, because every military in history that is successfully adapted, transformed, modernized, whatever word you want to use, has done so based on setting out to solve a specific military problem. I believe the problem we face today is how do we maintain a nuclear deterrent and a decisive conventional force while maintaining irregular warfare as a core competency. Because the paradox of war is the adversary will always move against your perceived weakness. And so a safe, secure, and effective nuclear deterrent is there to ensure a war that can never be won is never fought. And I've been out to Bangor, Washington to see the submarine force, Minot, to see the B-52s and the missiles and all. And I am absolutely convinced that having this safe, secure, and effective deterrent is critical, the most critical piece of our nation's defense. When I talk about a decisive conventional force, people say, well, that's awfully expensive. It is, but it's a heck of a lot less expensive than having to fight a conventional war because some adversary thought they could take us on and win. And so I believe that we have got to be able to either deter that or to win as swiftly as possible if we must go into a conflict. I talk about retaining irregular warfare as a core competency because we need it to safeguard America. What we do not want, ladies and gentlemen, is to be dominant and at the same time irrelevant to our nation's defense. And